Well, hi again, everyone. I'm Anandi, a business coach and brand strategist with over 10 years experience across industries such as retail, fashion, beauty, business, and finance, serving clients in an online spaces across corporate and entrepreneurial based businesses. And with all of this, I have developed a very specific skill set when it comes to business sales and marketing, especially in the online space. And I've really developed how to teach and share certain tactics and strategies with my clients and you guys so you can thrive in the online space in business today. I am madly passionate about teaching digital marketing and business and how the right strategies can actually help you move forward. I am actually currently running two businesses. The one is called 360 Marketing Solutions, and this is a digital education platform as well as a digital marketing agency. And then I also have a business which is Anandi Klassen Consulting, and this is where I work one-on-one with clients to build their business strategy and their brand plan, as well as working on the mindset needed to actually be in business in this trying times we are in. And then because I don't have enough on my plate, I am also part of a global organization called Future Females, who supports and empowers entrepreneurs across the world to reach their business goals. So I hope it's safe to say that you guys could agree with me maybe that I have some experience when it comes to businesses and what is needed for success in today's life. So I wanted to cover with you guys kind of how to navigate the consumer journey and what your customers really want to know. I want to chat about why your branding and content can help you connect with your ideal client. I want to talk about content that can drive conversions. And then I'm going to end off with the business strategies you might need for long-term growth. So I just want to make sure I can see your comments here on the Facebook group because I want to ask you guys some questions. Before we dive into all this awesomeness, I wanted to let us know in the comments, who has ever unfollowed a brand or business when their content just didn't resonate with you? So either their visuals or their videos, they didn't excite you, or they were constantly selling to you, like just putting the promotions out there, getting you to buy. Who has unfollowed a brand or business when that has happened, either on social media or via email? I'm not seeing any comments yet, but I'm sure that if you guys are like me, you have done unfollowed, because I have, because it gets too much, right? And then the next question I wanted to ask is, who has bought something because of an amazing video that they have seen? Something where that person chatted to you and you just kind of felt like they get me. They know exactly what my problems are. They're speaking straight to my soul, and you felt like this is someone I resonate with and I need to know what they have to offer. If that was you, let us know in the comments. If the comments come through a bit later, that's also fine. And then the last question I wanted to ask is, who follows a brand or a business because you just connect with them? You feel like what they stand for, who they are, how they do business just makes sense to you and it resonates with you at an emotional level. So if you followed a brand or a business because of that, let me know. Because at the end of the day, this is what online presence is, right? If something doesn't connect with you, you simply won't engage. So that really drives us to talking about the online presence. So I'm seeing here, Stephanie, you said yes to both of my questions. I'm so glad you agree. I feel exactly the same way. So these days, our customers really have all the power, but they have the power in that they can unsubscribe. They have the power in that they can, no longer engage with you. Did you know that 43% of people go online more than once a day? And out of that, 26% are online almost constantly. However, your customers actually do not get in touch with you as a brand until they are about 57% through the consumer journey, or the purchasing is complete almost. So why is this? Because they're online. They can find you in so many different places. They can read about your testimonials. They can go look at your reviews. So if you are not putting yourself out there in the right way, you may have lost your customer before you even knew they existed. So that is why creating your presence online is so important. And Obviously, a lot of the online presence is done through what we call digital communication. But now, if people do not want to be sold to, how do we sell to them? Because at the end of the day, we want to make money, right? So for me, I really believe in the 3 E's. And that is, we need to educate, entertain, and empower our audience. That means we are giving them value every single time they interact or see or hear or experience our brand or have a digital touch point with us. We want to be sharing value. We want those people to get to know us, the people behind the brand, because that is what's going to create recognizability. That is what's going to create difference. And that is what's going to make you stand out amongst the crowd. So remember one of those first questions I asked earlier, have you ever felt like you resonated with the brand? This is how you resonate with your audience. They need to get to know you, the face behind the logo. So how do we do this? Well, the 3 important things is that we need to connect with our audience. We need to build the right audience. And I'm sure you guys all know about the audience avatar, right? And we also need to be easily found online. So before we deep dive into the branding and the content and the ideal clients, i.e. how we really build our online presence, I quickly want to look at what the online space consists of right now. So that really is what these 3 digital marketing building blocks are. And the 3 areas we want to focus on as we are building our online presence is called owned, earned, and paid. So owned means this is that belongs to your business. This is your website, blogs and your articles, your email list, social media pages, podcasts. It's basically any content you are putting out there, be it video, be it images, or written content, that is what you own. But I do want to put a little bit of a disclaimer here about when it comes to social media pages, because technically we don't own the social media pages. We have a following, we have people who are like us, but, and I'm sure we've all seen this recently with the massive outage on Facebook and Instagram, right? If anything were to happen to those platforms and you do not have an alternative means of contacting and getting in touch with your audience, then you lost that following. Your 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 followers will mean nothing to you if you don't have them on an actual platform that does belong to you. And that's why email lists become super important. The next element is the earned media. So this is the given by your audience and followers to you. And this is things like testimonials, reviews, referrals, sharing your posts and your brand with their friends when they talk about the business that they're and the service that they've received from you. And this is really when your audience becomes your brand advocates and they sell your business for you. The next step is paid. So this is when we need to leverage other parties' expertise, data, or reach to get to your audience to know about you. So this is all your paid ads, your Facebook and Instagram ads, Google ads, you get LinkedIn ads, obviously YouTube ads, you get ads across all the social media platforms basically. And this is where you are very specific with your targeting of audience, your targeting messaging, and then the funnel you will ultimately put these people in so they can become aware of your brand and purchase. And that's where on the next slide, we can look at our customer journey. How do we connect with our audience across the digital platform? So this is really how do they get to know us and how do you build that owned, earned, and paid media elements into your online presence? Because the reality is our customers actually need to connect and interact with our brands or businesses multiple times before they will move into the purchase phase. The best analogy I have here is when we think of dating, right? So you usually don't propose on the first date. In fact, sometimes there isn't even a second date if we don't connect with that person. So this is also known as the golden rule of 7, where experts believe that 7 interactions or touch points are the magic number. But I say this can vary depending on how you are truly building your online presence and how do you connect with your clients. So if we go on to the next slide, let's go through this customer journey and look at how it fits into the online presence a little bit better. So in the awareness phase, This is really where you want to show your audience that you are here. You want to connect with them. You want to show them what they have to offer. Again, remember earlier I mentioned those 3 E's: empower, entertain, and educate. This is where you want to do that. You want to give lots of value. You want to get them to get to know you, the person behind the brand, plus your brand, and really what it stands for. Then when we move into the interest phase, this is where we give additional value. You want to maybe give some additional content away. You are not selling at all at this point in the process. And this is really, sometimes it can look like giving away freebies. This can be PDF downloads. This could be checklists. This could be even an email course that you can give away for free. This can be a workshop or a webinar that you're hosting for free, like Isabel is doing in her Facebook group right now. So this is really where you give lots of value so people can get to know you. They want to see if they resonate with you, if they connect with you, if they like you. We also call this the know, like, and trust factor. Because I don't know about you guys, but I'm not going to buy from somebody if I don't trust them, if I don't feel like their credibility isn't sound. And if I also don't know, especially in a service-based business, if I actually like their method of talking and teaching and giving me information. If I don't know any of those things, I am definitely not going to be putting down the money for them. So that's why these 2 phases are so important, to really make sure you're building that valuable connection, because you want a second date, right? So if we move on to the next slide, that's now where we've created desire. So if they've become aware of you, they've built the interest, it needs to be easy for them to find out more about you. This is where you want to make sure that your website connects back to your social media. Your social media connects through to an email list. There needs to be a cycle of where people can find out about you and find out more about you, so that if they were interested in purchasing, do they know what your prices are? Do they know how easy it is to pay? Do you have frequently asked questions available so they can learn more? This is also where you want to share your testimonials and feedback from your other clients, so that they can be assured that your service or product that you're going to be providing them is going to tick the boxes that they need. Are you solving their problems for them? And you want to answer yes. And this is what's going to then lead into action, which is on the next slide. And this phase needs to be super easy and accessible. You want it to be a seamless process. And you, if possible, have a surprise and delight factor. Like add a little value add, something small that's not going to take your time, but that makes your customer feel really special. That's going to drive the feeling of happiness and them saying yes to you. Because the thing is, what we then get to is advocacy, which is the next slide. Because once you've gone through all this effort, right, to find this one customer, you want to keep them, number one, but now you want them to tell other people about you, because this is where the earned element comes in from that previous slide I mentioned. You want them to sell your brand for you. And how much nicer is it when you don't have to do the selling, but your clients are doing it for you, right? So that's really the customer journey and kind of what that looks like. So if we then go on to the next slide, what do we need to create the online presence? And this is where social media does become quite important, because that tends to be the first place people go. Even if we're heading to Google, people tend to look at other people's social media presence first, businesses' social media presence. Let me know in the comments quickly, guys, if you've ever heard of seen a new business and you go onto their social media and they don't have Instagram or they don't have Facebook and they don't have a website. Do you do anything further with that business? I'm going to bet you guys are going to tell me the answer is no. So that is why social media is about now building your relationship. It builds your community and it opens you up for conversations. So you can drive a conversation in an environment where you are building the like, know, trust factor. You also want to encourage feedback. Building the earned media. Yes, Stephanie, absolutely. Of course, you're not going to do anything if you can't find them online, right? So at its core, social media marketing or any online marketing has the ability to bring a new kind of exposure and interaction to your business. It's an opportunity to connect with your clients, to learn from them, to hear from them, because they will share things with yourself on DM, on direct messages. And that's how you'll also find out what is working and what isn't working in your business. And as a brand and as a person in your brand, you can participate in discussions that are relevant to your industry and establish the credibility I mentioned earlier as well. Today's savvy consumers are spending more time researching brands and products before ever spending any money. So if you have an active online presence that people are again connecting with, we'll allow people to then get to know you and in turn advocate for you. So let's look at the next slide, because this is where content then becomes super important. We need a strategy. Remember the golden rule of 7 I mentioned earlier, the multiple times people are interacting with you, or if we're going back to our dating analogy. Every time you go on a date with your client, you want them to get to know you better. You want them to get to learn who you are at your core. So you can't just put your sales promotions and your pricing from the get-go. You need to give them tips. You need to give them advice. You need to share how they're going to use your product or services and how it's going to change their life. So I'm sure you guys haven't heard about when we talk about the ideal client or niching, and this is really why it comes back to the ideal client time and time again. If you do not know who you are speaking to, you do not know how to connect with them, you do not know how to hook them, you do not know how to speak to their pain points and solve the problems for them. And that's where content strategy then becomes important, because every time your audience interacts with you, they need to learn something more from you. They need to see that you are solving their problems, and they need to see that it's aimed specifically at them, so that it sits with them and they like you, they want more of you. So how do we do this? And I have a little strategy for you guys on the next slide that one of my mentors has taught me. And this is the 3H framework: hook, how, and help. So if we look at it, you always have to have a hook. Why do we need a hook, Anandi? Well, you need to get people to actually be interested in you, because there's a lot of noise online, right? So this is where we're going to talk about the transformation. We might bring up the trouble. And what is very helpful is to sometimes bring in a time frame. We all know how busy we are, right? So if we know that we're going to learn something amazing in a short amount of time, I would be much more inclined to learn that if I know it's going to take me a short, like only so much time. So an example could be: tired after a long day and still need to figure out what to make for dinner. Need a new recipe that is healthy for the whole family and will only take 40 minutes. Well, if I am a busy mom in my corporate job, this would definitely attract me, because I've had a long day. I don't feel like cooking. The kids are probably always moaning about that. They don't eat this and they don't like that. But if you're going to teach me in the next one, which is now your how, using this simple method to either make meal planning or meal prepping, or even if there's a recipe that only has 3 steps, that's going to make sure that everyone in the family loves it, it's going to take me only 40 minutes to make. Wow, that sounds super useful, right? And then the help is that your one call to action. So that could be selling for them. But again, if we're in the awareness phase of the customer journey, maybe for that one, it will just be follow for more tips and recipes. If you're then giving value, it might be give your email address to get a checklist or a staple pantry list or a quick recipe. And then if you're building into the selling phase, that could be join my membership program where I share weekly recipes, or buy a recipe book. So that is using our customer journey, knowing our ideal client, and then creating content that really connects and converts with our client. But if we want to take it one step further, going on to the next slide, video marketing has really taken off in a big way. If you are not doing some form of video to connect with your audience, I can guarantee you that you are left behind. Also recently, an announcement made from Instagram is that Instagram is now not only a single image sharing platform, and you can see in all the functionalities that the platform gives us, how it's changing towards video. And when we look at the stats, 70% of consumers have shared a brand's video. 72% of businesses say that video has improved conversion rates. 52% of consumers say that videos increase product confidence because they can physically see. It feels like there's more credibility when you look at a video, when somebody's using a product or talking or teaching. So you obviously get short form videos, which is your TikToks, Reels, short videos on your feeds, or long form videos, which is long YouTube videos, interviews and workshops like this one. So you don't have to do video, but it's going to help people connect with you better. It's going to show them what you have to offer. It's going to share with them who you are, who's the personality behind the brand. And that's why the next slide is so important, because this is when it comes to building your brand. So a lot of people tell me, Anandi, but I don't want to be the face of my brand. I don't want people to buy me. They need to buy my product. And that's all good and well, guys, but there's so much happening online that people want to get to know you. There's a desire to connect with brands on a personal level. So now that we know the how and where we need to connect, let's look at the methods. And this is where building your personal brand or building yourself as part of your brand becomes so important. Personal branding, or the act of building yourself into your brand, helps you become clear. It helps you to understand your purpose and your promise, which is that first and last step in the pyramid. And the reason why this is so important is you need to know what you stand for. Because if you don't know what you are, and you don't know who you're selling to, you actually end up selling to no one. People need to, again, connect with you. And I say this word connect so many times, but that really is the basis of everything that is happening online today. So if we look at people like Tony Robbins, Marie Forleo, Sophia Amoruso, Oprah, Robert Kiyosaki, these are all examples of people who have built personal brands as leaders and then build their businesses. If you guys follow these personas, you know that they have multiple elements of their businesses. But if they were not the face of their business, people probably would not connect with them as strongly as they have. So now we've kind of looked at the big elements of building your brand, but we can dive a little bit deeper as well. The reality is we interact with many people on a daily basis. And I've just added a few things here. Your clients is obviously one, but you have friends, you have suppliers, you have mentors, you have just people coming across your personal profile and they can connect to your business profile. That is why you want to be creating yourself as a part of your brand. Again, then you can talk about who you are, what you stand for, what you sell, making sure that you're using keywords, right? We know about keywords from SEO. We know about keywords from target marketing. We know about keywords from niching. This is how people are going to connect with you. Those keywords are going to come up for them. If you were to search me on my personal capacity, I talk about brand strategy, mindset, entrepreneurs, business all the time. That's how people get to know me. And then I direct them to either one of my businesses, either from the agency side, if that's what your services that you require, or to my one-on-one consulting side, so that there's consistently something that makes sense. So people actually don't buy my products or my services, they buy me. And if they don't like me and they don't connect with me, that's okay. I don't want to work with those people anyway, because it's going to be so much more difficult to convert them and get them to trust me, right? So this is also why it's so important, because we don't want everybody. We want our ideal clients. We only want those clients who's going to give us energy, and at the end of the day, it's going to be easy to convert and then become brand advocates for us. I kind of think of what sets each of us apart individually. And that, to me, feels like building a burger. Every topping is a little bit different, and everybody likes their burgers a little bit differently, right? So if you guys want, let me know in the comments, what are some of your favorite burger toppings? I like onions and cheese on mine. My husband likes avo and bacon on his. But at the end of the day, the point is that everything about you, your unique experience, your time in business, your skill sets that you've done, everything that you have learned, that makes you unique. Your business and your experience and time in your business and selling your business and working with your clients, that has taught you something specific. So you want to share who you are. What is your secret sauce? What is your special in between the bun part that sets you apart from everyone else that's doing the same thing as you? Because this is another thing about putting ourselves into our brand, is There's a lot of people selling recipes. There's a lot of people in the health and nutrition industry. There's a lot of photographers building a business out there. So why should people choose you over everyone else out there? And they can only do that if they get to know you, trust you, and like you, because that's when they want to go on more dates. This is a quick checklist of how you can start to create your personal brand, or alternatively, putting yourself into your brand more and more. So begin with, who are you? How are you going to let people get to know you? And this is brilliant for video, guys. So obviously, if you're on Instagram, you want to be doing stories. Share a quick thing with people in the morning. What makes you you? What are some of your quirks? Show behind the scenes. If you have a product-based business, shoot some video of how you are putting that product together. Let people see you. Let them get behind the scenes. That builds trust and credibility. If you're a service-based business and you teach something in that service, give little snippets of value away in either your stories, or if you want to create reels. You don't have to do those really fancy transitioning reels. I mean, they are cool, but I have a lot of reels where I just talk, and I talk for 30 seconds and I teach people 3 things. And sometimes those have more engagement and more watch time than some of the videos where I'm doing fancy transitions, trying to like pull my clothes off and then you have another outfit on. So don't be intimidated by videos, guys. Just be yourself. Let people get to know you. Then the next checklist you want to look at when you're building yourself into your personal brand is consistency. So consistency, obviously, a lot of time comes to when we're posting. So consistency about posting regularly on your social media. If you have a blog, making sure that there's something that people know you're going to be every Friday at 5 o'clock, your blog's going to come out. Like Isabel has every week, she has her guest experts. That's consistency, right? But also have consistency in your look and feel. So again, I'm sure you guys have noticed, if you look at this presentation, if you look at what I'm wearing, what is consistent about me? Let me know in the comments. I'm quickly going to head over to Facebook. What do you guys think is consistent about my brand look and feel, just for interest sake? So that's also consistency. Shapes, patterns is consistency. Hair color, yes, that too. Also, if you guys maybe noticed, there's a lot of green. So green is my brand color. So you're also building consistency. If you go onto my Instagram, you'll see there's a lot of green. My posts are a lot of green. I love nature, so I always have nature. If you guys look behind me, that's trees. Supposed to be. I painted that because I'm also creative, but I try to make sure that everything about me is coming across as who I am, as my personality as well. Hopefully you guys feel like bubbly, that I'm very open, that you guys can connect with me. That is who I am. And I consistently bring that personality across in everything that I do. So consistency doesn't just come in what you're putting out there, but it also comes in who you are. So finishing up this checklist, it also comes through in the words and language that you use. So copy needs to sound like you. It needs to sound like how you would speak to people. Then, of course, what you're selling. And this is very important to take our passion and turning it into a profit. Showing people what you're good at. Showing people where your expertise lie. And then lastly, always making sure who is your audience and do you know who you are speaking to and how you are solving their needs. Which then goes to our almost last slide. And again, just quickly touching on who is our ideal client avatar. So this is the people we want to be doing business with. This is the people that we love. So if you struggle with this, and a lot of people tend to do this, and be like, yeah, but I just need to sell, right? I need to make money. You need to be writing this down. What do they do? What do they like? What are the problems that you are solving for them? And then who has these problems? If we're using my example from the 3H framework earlier, that is a busy mom in a corporate career that doesn't have time for anything else. That's who she is. So what is the potential opportunities of where she is? She probably would be on mom or toddler or kids websites. She might be looking at services that create food in an easy manner. So in South Africa, we have a service called YouCook. You order every week and they deliver all the ingredients with recipe cards to your house and you just cook the meal that they have. I love that. I don't have to plan, I don't have to buy groceries, and I don't have to take anything out of the freezer in the morning. So that makes my life super easy. You can choose if you want low carb, high fat, vegetarian, family orientated meals, express meals, gourmet meals, so that I know I can choose the categories that make sense for my family. So that is who I am. That is where I will be. I'd be interested in healthy, nutritious types of meals that's going to make sure my entire family is getting their nutrients, right? So then by knowing who your ideal client is, you are able to share with them how you can help them, how you can make a difference in their lives and leave them happy after using your product, your service, or anything else that you have to offer. So everything I have mentioned in our time today is really coming back to this. It's coming back to who is your ideal client, how are you connect with them, and how are you building your business. So getting on to the last slide, because now if you've done all of this, you've really built out your success. The last things that I always tell my clients is you want to build your business for success. And I have 3 key strategies that we work with. And that is number 1, do your market research. Do not get stuck in a one-track mind of doing things. Be agile. Learn to anticipate what your clients want so you can give it to them. Be in the Facebook groups. Join the workshops your competitors are giving. Upskill yourself so that you can continuously give your clients more. But you can only do that if you know what their needs are, right? Then the second strategy I always tell my clients is build passive and active income streams into your business where you are not exchanging time for money. And guys, this also includes creating a product suite. A product suite mustn't be 5 million products. It can be 3, but it should be an element where you have something where you are, if we're a service-based business, you're exchanging time for money, but then there could also be digital services or digital products where people can learn from you via an ebook or via a workshop or via a digital video. Or if you're in a product-based business, how can you add consulting services or other services to that business? And then you also want to consider tiering it so that you can have your aspirational clients who can't afford your signature product to offer, but they can come in at a lower price point and get to know more about you, learn what you have to offer. And as they are learning from you and implementing what you are teaching them, they can level up, buying more from you. And you also want the people that are buying your signature offer to be able to give them something else. Again, product-based business, sometimes people buy your product and then it's bought, right? What else is there? So giving people opportunities to interact more with you, buying from you in multiple ways, builds your clients, builds your offering, but then it also gives opportunities for you, like I said earlier, passive and active income streams. So that if something were to happen to any one of these income streams, you still have alternative means of income. If you get sick, guys, if you want to go on holiday, you don't have to stress because you're no longer exchanging time for money. And then the last one is have automations where possible. If there's things that an automation can do, there's so many amazing things online, let them do it. And I'm going to add in here outsourcing. So if you can get a VA who can do all your admin and the mundane organizing or emailing clients, get that, because then you can be spending your time creating more of your secret sauce that makes you you and makes you connect with your audience in the best way possible. So that's it from me tonight, guys. It's tonight for me, but I think it's morning, so where you guys are. If you want to get to know a bit more about me, you can either head to my website, anandiklaasen.com, or if you're interested in the marketing side of what I do, that is 360ms.digital. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. You can literally just Google Anandi Klaasen and it will come up. And that is it. I hope you guys learned a lot. I hope it was valuable. And like Isabel mentioned, I am more than happy to answer any questions you guys have. If you want to pop it into the comment section, I'll be happy to answer anything you guys want to know more of.
Awesome. Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, that was a really informative presentation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You did mention so many points. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Like you mentioned a couple of times about having an ideal audience. And yes, do you have any actionable tips where people who are trying to get that ideal customer avatar, to solidify that avatar, any tips on how they can get there?
So I think if you guys are rewatching this, really look at what are you giving people that are solving a specific need, because those are your ideal clients. So like if I go back to that example, if you are sharing recipes or meal plans, you are looking for busy moms who don't have time. So then speak to them using that 3H framework. the hook, the how, and the help. That's going to help you become very specific with what you have to offer and how you can solve their problems and their needs. Because that's always the problem. I mean, creating your ideal client avatar is probably one of the biggest challenges all our clients have, because you want to sell to everyone, right? But there's an interesting quote that I always find is that niching down means you can scale up. So the more specific you get with what you do, you actually don't lose customers. You actually get more customers because you know what you do, you tell people what you do, and then they can decide for themselves, okay, maybe I'm not a busy mom, but I'm a busy housewife, so I still need to know what you do. But if you just sell recipes, then everybody's going to be like, yeah, but there's recipes everywhere. So get very specific and intentional with what you do, how you solve problems, and then the rest kind of starts happening from there. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, for sure. And okay, just rewinding back a little bit, you did mention that we should all have a content strategy and we should all be present on social media. Is there any advice you can give with regards to the kinds of consistent posting and on which platforms you would recommend?
So my biggest thing is do not be on every single platform. It is overwhelming. You are not going to have the time to do it, and you're actually going to get burned out. So, and this is again why knowing your ideal client is so important, because you need to be on the platforms that they will be on. Right now, Facebook and Instagram tends to be the platforms most people choose. But if you are a teaching brand, if you're a service type of business, YouTube is very valuable because that's where you create videos. That's where you connect with people. TikTok is my very up and coming brand, but you need to be, I would say, in the fashion brands tend to be on TikTok because creating content with fashion is a little bit easier for the short form videos. So choose a platform where your audience is and that has a form of content that is easy for you to implement. Because again, if you're a fashion brand, but you're really not going to make those cool TikToks, don't be on TikTok. Then rather be on Instagram, where you can create short videos, beautiful photos of your brand, and share it that way. So choose the platform that's going to make the most sense to you, and then find a consistent strategy that makes again sense to you. If you cannot post every day, don't try to, but find a way that you can at least post twice a week. Get started, find a rhythm that works for you, and then up it from there a little bit at a time until you can get to a bit more of a high frequency, because we do know that the higher frequency posts do tend to do better, because obviously people are there's so much happening online. You don't want to get lost in the crowd either.
Cool, great tips. And okay, let's break it down a bit more. So for Instagram, in order to get your content seen by a new audience, I know you can use hashtags and you can engage with people. What would you say would be the way for people to get to know your content on, say, Facebook and on YouTube?
So YouTube is absolutely value-based videos. The sweet spot for videos at the point is about the 2-minute mark if you don't want to lose people. But on YouTube, you then have to be very intentional with actually SEO. So your description and your title needs to be what people want to know. And that is where keyword research is very important. And you can do it through Google Trends, there's Facebook IQ. There's lots of places where you can learn what keywords people are looking for. And your title needs to not be clickbaity, but be interesting enough. But also think about it this way. If you were to search, what words are you going to use to search your specific problem? So have your keywords in your title and then have it repeated in your description, and then make sure that what you're telling people in the video is short, easy to absorb, and informative so that they want to come back again and again. So that's YouTube. Facebook tends to be a little bit difficult. I'll be honest, I haven't personally figured out the rhythm that works for Facebook across all my clients, because everybody seems to have a little bit something different. What works really well for Facebook is Facebook groups, creating an engaging, safe environment where you can teach in an interactive format, exactly like this live we're doing now, where people can learn something. You're giving a little bit of value. They can ask questions. You can answer it. What also works really, really well is if you're actually doing what I call like mini audits. So if you are actually taking somebody's business, you're sharing your screen, you're working through a specific strategy within that, looking at that business, using real life examples, that works really well. Because again, if people are interacting with you, they're on the live with you, they can ask questions and they can see how you actually implement what you are teaching so
Ooh,
that
I
they
love
can learn
that.
from you.
I love that. Yeah, it sounds really interactive, and people are actually invested in it because you are
Yeah.
auditing their page or something.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, great tip.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah, going back to one of your slides, which is, the awareness to advocacy funnel, and then
Yes.
there's this action conversion funnel. And so, like a lot of people, as they are nurturing their audience, they don't really know when is the best time to convert and go from value to selling. So, how would you tell when is the best time to take action and convert your audience?
So for this, you actually need to have your own marketing funnel. So you have the funnel of how people are interacting with you, which is, like I mentioned, the awareness, interest, desire, purchase. But then you have to have a system of what's happening to them, the customer journey. What are the touch points? So if they are interacting with you for the first time through social media, are you driving them to sign up for something via an email list? If they have then signed up for an email list and they've gotten something for free from you, do you then have a strategy in how you are implementing those emails to communicate with people, giving them maybe 2 or 3 emails of additional value, driving them to your social media again, maybe putting them into your Facebook group where they can get more out of you, more value, get to know you, and then you sell to them. So I would never say somebody that joined your email list for the first time, you do not sell to them immediately. You want to sell when it comes to somebody who's been in your email list for a while, and that's why you need to segment. And a lot of the email platforms, the free ones as well, have opportunity to put people into groups, segment them, so that you know exactly where they came from, what they were interested in, and how long they've been in your email group. And then I'd also say sell in your warm group. So if you're in a Facebook group, again, where people obviously they've now opted to be there, they've interacted with you multiple times, that's where you can potentially sell. So for every business and every audience, it is a little bit different because they might interact with you differently. People's needs and demands versus needs are very different. But I would say look at where your audience is. And if you know where they are in your strategy or funnel, that's when if you interacted with them a few times, that's when you sell to them. And also, you will also learn when you interact with your audience, you'll start gauging when people are reciprocative to it or when they're not. So when you are giving value, there's a lot of this, the webinar strategy, right? Sign up for my free webinar. I teach you something and I'm going to sell you something at the end. That is a way you could do it. But the problem with that is most of that people are probably brand new. So it's a cold audience hitting your webinar. If you then sell to them right at the end, that might not convert easily. But if it's people that have joined a few of your webinars, and like I said, they've now been in your Facebook group, if then you sell at the end of it, you might have a very different reaction because they've gotten to know you. They've probably downloaded 1 or 2 of your freebies. So they actually know, like, and trust you already.
Nice. I love those tips. Really, really cool. That's awesome. Okay, so moving down the funnel, say we have converted them and they have gone through the course and they're happy and they would love to promote. Are there any tips that, as the owner of the service, that you can do to encourage them to show off your service or your product advocacy?
So there's a few different ways you can work this in. There is, of course, a monetary reward. So you can tell them that if they bring clients to you, they can either get a commission or a referral fee. You can also kind of work on a points-based system. So there's a fitness brand that I follow that if you share why you like this fitness brand, and it can either be in your results, so if you've lost an amount of weight or whatever, if you followed one of their recipes, or if you joined one of their they have free live exercise videos every day. If you share any of that on your personal platforms and tag them, which means they're reaching new audiences, right? They give you points. And you can build that points to then get monetary value off of any of their products. And that works
Mm.
really, really well. So, and then what you can also do is that you don't want to necessarily give stuff away for free, is you could always say if people are sharing something, they can have access to a freebie that you have, things like that. But what I would do sometimes is when I have a service with a client, I actually work into my service with the client at the end. I ask them some questions about how did this session work for you? So, for example, in my consulting business, right? If we've done a brand strategy session, I make 5 minutes at the end of that session saying, okay, Isabel, I just mapped out this in the strategy for you. How do you feel confidence-wise about implementing the strategy? Do you feel like I helped you today? Do you feel like you can, should I ask specific questions that you then will give me answers to? And then we just have a disclaimer where I say, would you be comfortable with me sharing this strategy or this testimonial part of this video with my audience? You can say yes or no. If it's yes, obviously I can. If it's no, then I can't. But then that's a way where I've now gotten a video testimonial of you that I can share. And alternatively, if I then take that snippet, I share it back on your social media, I tag you,
Mhm.
you can then
Yeah.
share that again
Yeah.
because you feel proud of what you've done and what you've achieved while working with me. So that's a few strategies you could implement to encourage testimonials and referrals.
Yeah, that's a broad spectrum of ideas. I really love that. Well, and I especially love the way that you do with the video calls, and that's something that I'm trying to implement as well in my business. So I was wondering if you can share some elements on how you break down the kinds of questions to get feedback from your customers.
So what I have learned is, right, when you ask people a broad question, the answers might not always be what you need. So be
Mm-hmm.
very specific and be very intentional. So if you need me to say that you, Isabel, taught me how to do SEO, you need to ask that of me so that I can give that to you so that you then have that video. If
Yeah.
you need me to say that my recipe helped me feed my family in under 40 minutes on a busy workday, you need to prompt that question. Similarly, that's also how I work with some of my clients when they're doing videos. They're like, okay, Benani, but I don't know what to say. So I'm like, well, here's a little template, here's a little formula that you follow. And when you're creating a video, these are the prompts that you can then talk about. Because again, sometimes you have great ideas, like I know what I do, I know what with the clients that I work with, and then your camera's on, and you're like, oh, what was I supposed to say again? So for me in my business, I'm a very big stickler for systems and processes. So I believe in standard operating processes or SOPs. And what that helps you with is there's a formula that you always follow. You become great at that formula. You build your expertise in a certain way of doing something. What that also does is your clients learn to expect a certain level of standard from you. You become very well versed in giving that standard, so it becomes easy every time you work with a new client. You just follow the same set of rules. It's easy for you to implement. It's easy for your clients to know. So I would say if there's something specific you need or want to do in your business, build out a mini system and then follow those steps every single day. And then if you need to, and as you start learning, you can tweak those steps, of course, but it just helps give you a base point of where to start and how to build, get into consistency, get
Yeah.
routines and habits created. And that works the best for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, especially if you're expanding your team, like you mentioned, the point on outsourcing, which is, whoa, it's been a
Yeah.
game changer for me. Like without having external help, I would still be like doing all the admin day-to-day tasks and not moving forward
Yes.
at all. And so, especially once you've reached a stage with your business where you have a team, then SOPs are definitely really important, and having like project management tools as well. I personally use Trello and also have SOPs so that each time there's a new onboarding member, then it's easy to just pass on the information.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Wow, this has been really informative. I'm so glad to have you on today.
You're
Thank
so
you so
welcome. I had so
much.
much fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a good time in South Africa and take care.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye.